Israel in the International Court of Justice. To talk about to us about it this morning is Donovan Williams, an international relations expert and a Mail and Guardian columnist. Good morning and a very warm welcome to you, Donovan.
Good morning, and compliments of the new year to yourself and all your listeners.
Thank you. Likewise. What are South Africa's allegations against Israel?
Look, the allegations are the allegation of genocide, or that this will result in genocide. So it doesn't need to necessarily say there's a genocide taking place right now, but the allegation is that it is fitting all the criteria that is regarded as genocidal actions, actions against a group, cutting off of resources, etc. And this will result in the wiping away of the Palestinian people in Gaza as a group. So it is not that there's genocide taking place right now, but the actions will result in genocide. So, and this is very clear that South Africa has more than just a strong case. It has an exceptionally good case that is put forward, and it'll take quite a lot for Israel to try and disprove this, because just by the mere fact that they cut off water and electricity and so forth, that's non-discriminatory. That's anybody. So it's targeted at all people in Gaza in that way, all Palestinians in Gaza. Yeah, so that's essentially it. I hope that answers you, Najma.
Right. Yes. And can South Africa's ICJ's case against Israel stop the war in Gaza?
Yes, you see, it's this is what makes it very interesting, is that by South Africa putting forward the case, Israel needing to defend itself. Whilst that occurs, they can be, and this is why the case will be heard soon. The case will go on for a number of years. Let's understand that the proving of that this would result in a genocide or not. However, in the first instance, Israel will be expected to stop whatever they are doing, because it could result in a genocide. And that's what makes the matter so compelling. It has been used before. It's been used in terms of Bosnia and Serbia, and it resulted in a similar action. So, and the lawyer, in fact, who was leading the matter, Doyle, has looked at South Africa's case, and he said it's a clear case for that matter. So Israel would have to stop. So it's not just like a ceasefire, or as they termed it, a humanitarian pause. Israel would be forced to stop.
So support from other countries have been quite promising. Support for South Africa. I beg your pardon. How impactful is this for SA stance that it's taken?
Look, firstly, before anything else, and I know the overwhelming majority of your listeners are South African, and we as a country can feel very proud of a very, very courageous step taken by our government, in particular the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, led by Minister Pandor, as well as the Director General, Zane Dango. Both of them have been very clear and consistent on this matter. South Africa, and let's understand this, we all know about the International Criminal Court, the ICC. Because of the controversy in terms of the Sudanese Prime Minister al-Bashir, etc. This is the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, which is firmly under the United Nations architecture. The ICC is separate to the United Nations. It includes the United Nations members, in a manner of speaking, where it gives a certain a leeway for the permanent members of the Security Council, etc. But the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, is that which is for states, for governments itself. So anybody could have taken this case up, but South Africa did, and it took a lot of courage to do so. And we must commend our government. It does bother me, it does concern me, quite honestly and openly, that this year we're going into an election, and if our government changes in any manner whatsoever, I will shudder to think what would occur to us on the international level, because progressive internationalism as a value and an understanding and a philosophy within the current ruling government, ruling party, is embedded. It is real. And as we have seen with Israel. So that does concern me. It does bother me if there's a change of government. But more than that is that you have had South Africa take this matter up, and not just the countries that are supporting, the pressure from people within various countries for their countries to support South Africa has been great, especially in the
Uh-huh.
West. There's been normal, ordinary civil society members and citizens within the United States as well as in the United Kingdom pushing their countries to support. They have, and the United States is also going to an election this year, and it is having a massive impact on the support for the incumbent Joe Biden because of his what seems to be a blank check support to Israel. In the UK, there's already begun push a push from civil society for the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador because, in terms of the matter being brought forward by South Africa, the UK government, by allowing the Israeli ambassador to make statements that could be described as genocidal, the United Kingdom could be regarded as complicit as well. So there's a large push from people, not just states, people within different countries for the support of South Africa. And everywhere you look across our continent and across the world, there are people coming out in support of South Africa. I mean, high ranking persons whose reputations have no one can question them, who have been saying, wow, South Africa, thank you so much. And we can be very proud as a country about that. And I think we mustn't lose sight of that.
Why is it considered a brave step
It's
by South
considered a
Africa?
brave step because nobody's taken it. Nobody has ever thought of taking it. There's been all the charges and raised. You've had individuals, experts, etc., put forward together to say this is genocide. You've had genocidal experts, I think about 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, who had issued a statement saying this genocide. But for governments to take such a matter, it formalizes it. Governments move a lot slower, and for our government to do it in the way it has with the legal experts and the case they've put, the 180 odd page document they've put together, where it has shown that they have been exceptionally courageous to do that. And no other country has done it because it's not easy to do. It means you are basically making enemies out of different states. In many ways, it has shocked the US, it has shocked Israel, it has shocked the West. And in that sense, South Africa will be commended highly by the progressive world, by the non-aligned world, to say that, and that's why that makes it courageous. Governments don't move in the same way as us as individuals. It moves in a much more careful and considered way. This wasn't reckless at all by South Africa, as they've shown in their 180 odd page document. It has been a considered act, but they've done it in such a way that it meant that we can commend our government, because none of us, and we must be honest, none of us thought of ever suggesting that this to be done with the ICJ. There was talks about the ICC and so forth, but never the ICJ. And this is a brave step, definitely.
So Israel's decision to defend itself, what does that tell us?
That says a hell of a lot. And thank you for raising that. Because what we would normally expect, as you know, with General Assembly resolutions and in the Security Council, you can just expect the US to veto. With Israel defending itself, it puts itself in the dock. It will have to answer questions, not through its own media, not by itself, to its echo chamber, the United States, etc. It is tantamount to Israel being in the Security Council and being grilled, or being on the UN floor and being grilled, not allowed to just speak by itself with nobody being able to intervene. That's a huge step. It shows that Israel understands that this case goes through and it becomes a formalized polecat, a formalized pariah. It goes further than just being an apartheid state. And this is what makes South Africa's move so astounding. It is an exceptional move. Nobody really uses the ICJ that easily because, as I said, states are only allowed to. And for South Africa to do that, Israel, for the first time in its history, will even have to explain its actions, not just right now, but its actions from the time of 1967 to date, that what it has done and all the statements it has made in such a way. If you look at the South African case that it's put forward, the context that it's put forward.
Right. The thing is, we don't want the media then to turn it into some sort of a drama, court drama, that we'd be watching. I think this has to be taken quite seriously in terms of what's unfolding and what you've explained and how important this is for the people of Palestine. How do we, as viewers, as observers, take this in objectively and know that we can even trust the ICJ in terms of its if it's what it stands for.
Yeah, I think this is important, and like with everything, people must get involved. Your station is quite important as part of the media landscape, as an alternative voice. It's not as, of course, its footprint is not as large as the others, but ordinary people need to get involved. The solidarity actions that have mushroomed in our country over the last a month or so in support of the people of Palestine and against the genocide taking place must continue in support of our government, in support of the action our government has taken at the ICJ, and in concert with many progressive groupings around the world. That would make certain that the ICJ jurists know that the world is watching them. The media understands that it cannot just parrot a false information and and make this into a soap opera, as a manner of speaking. But understand this case is not 6 months. This case is
Mm.
going to take years. But the important part first is part of this case is to make Israel stop. And it will have to stop. And that's the pressure we need to put on. And that's the public actions that must be taken up. That's very, very important for now. And as the people, no government exists outside of the people. And therefore, we as the people have to speak up. Civil society becomes exceptionally important, but ordinary individuals also become important. For example, how come you have right now, Najma, you have halal certification boards which are still certifying Israeli owned companies as halal? Yet our government is accusing Israel of genocide. This is the types of things that we expect actions. That's the type of pressure you need to put on. Why is the
Correct.
certification board in South Africa doing that? That's saying clover milk is halal when haram things are being done
Hmm.
by its
Hmm.
own. So these are the types of things that anybody can take up. It doesn't need anyone else. That's the type of pressure you push up. That's what we would expect. So please organize yourselves in support. It's easy to type a message, it's easy to talk, but actual activities, it's not just wearing a scarf, it's not just having a flag, it's going out and reminding people that we can see what you are doing and we will not forget. That's so,
Hmm.
so important.
Right. The first hearing takes place at The Hague, and it's set for the 11th and 12th of January 2024. We'll be watching this very closely. We'll be following it very closely on Salam Media. Thank you very much for your time, Donovan. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, and all solidarity with the information and alternative news you are providing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was Donovan Williams, international relations expert and a Mail and Guardian columnist. When we come back, we speak to Munir Parker.